Football season is in full swing and it is time to do some more tailgating. So we've got a great dish. It's nice and easy to prepare for you. We're going to do a turkey and poblano pepper chili. Alright, so we're going to get started. I've got some turkey, sweet Italian turkey sausage that we're going to add to this, and we're going to grab it and just kind of break it up with our fingers. And there is a thin casing on it, but it's fine. That'll cook right into the chili. It's not a big deal at all. We just kind of want to break it up. So I bought one pack, and I think it's about a pound, maybe 2 pounds, and that's really all you need. You can make it as much as you want, but we'll start there. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to give my hands a quick wipe here. But we're going to brown that up a little bit. We're going to throw some fresh veggies into it. And I'll walk you through step by step what veggies we're going to put into it. Let's start with, I've got about 3 poblano peppers that we're going to throw them right in there. We want them to really start to sear nice. They're like a mild, they have heat, but they're more mild than say like a jalapeno. And I was talking on the live stream about how when I was cutting them, I can actually feel the heat coming through. So maybe these might be a little bit hotter than I think they are. But for the most part, they're pretty mild. Just want to keep that sausage meat moving around. Now I've got some bell peppers. I've also got about the same thing, about 2 cups of diced red bell pepper. And that's just to add a little sweetness. I'm going to pull back on adding the whole thing. Add just about 1.5 cups. Just by eye, I'm looking at it, and that looks like it's probably enough right there. So. Again, keep that sausage moving. Oh, it smells incredible already. I've got some diced white onion. You can use sweet Vidalias if you like. Again, probably about 1.5 cups. This is going to net probably about 1/2 gallon of chili when it's all said and done, which is enough to feed your football friends coming over for the game. Before I go any further, I'll definitely say this is one of those crock pot dishes where if you make this up ahead, throw it in the crock pot, set it on medium high, and let it go for an hour or 2. It's going to be beautiful. You just got to check it from time to time, make sure the liquid content is right. You don't want it to get too dry. You want to make sure that it's a nice balance. I've got some sliced green onions, probably about 1 cup, maybe a little more than 1 cup. And now we've already got some onion in there, but that adds a nice another layer to it. Sausage is going to take a little bit of time to brown up. We want to soften those vegetables too. We want to sweat them. And notice I didn't add any oil to it. Again, there are some times that you would saute up the turkey sausage and you can actually strain the fat from it. We want to leave the fat from the sausage in there because that's going to add a little body. It's going to help to saute those veggies. But normally I noticed I didn't add any more fat, and that's the critical thing. Is we want to keep the fat content as low as we can. And they do a pretty good job of keeping the fat low on the sausage, on the turkey sausage. I've got some fresh minced garlic. Now we're going to start to add some of the chili components other than the peppers to it. I'm going to add a good tablespoon of garlic to that. Actually, a little bit more, about 1.5 tablespoons of garlic to that. I've got some chili powder, and we're going to add about 2.5 tablespoons of chili powder. You like my measuring spoon? And cumin, same thing. Ground cumin, about 2.5 tablespoons. And you can go kind of liberal with that. There's been times I've made chili that I've gone back and I've added cumin again toward the end, just because I wanted it to have more flavor. All told, once we add all the components to it, you're going to let it simmer for probably about 20 minutes to a half hour if you're doing it stovetop. But and you can, like I said, you can turn it on low and just let it go, for a good couple of hours. Like if you're doing a lot of tailgate food, get this going early and set it low and slow, baby. Oh man, I don't know how you guys can stand the smell. It's out of control. I just want to dive right into this. Alright, so it's not quite there yet, but I do want to add, I've got some chicken stock out of sight here. I've got quite a bit, actually. We're not going to add this much, but I've got 8 cups mixed. And you could use a low sodium chicken stock if you like, or you can use the bouillon, or you can use the base. We're going to add a couple of cups. Yep, exactly 2 cups to start. And then again, it's good to have the chicken stock on hand because you can always go back and add more if you need it. Like when it starts to get a little bit low, You want to be able to have an opportunity to add more. So yeah, and I wanted this heavy with poblano, so I went extra. And actually, if you want to know what a poblano looks like, when you go to the grocery store, this is what it looks like here. It's a dark, long green pepper. It looks almost like a giant jalapeno. But really, that's what it looks like. It's dark, and it doesn't smell hot at all. You'll be surprised when you cook it, because it doesn't smell like it's a hot pepper at all. But it is in the hot pepper family, though the mildest of them. We've got the chicken stock in there. I can smell all the chili flavors. Oh man, that's out of control. This is phenomenal. Now, let's see, I've got some fresh cilantro. And I usually like to add my herbs a little bit later in the game because I find, especially with things like chili, they will break down fast. I've got 2 cups of fresh cilantro. We're not going to add that much. I'm going to add maybe about 3/4 of a cup for now, because I want to reserve it till toward the end when I go to taste it after it's simmered for 20 minutes, see what it looks like, and then see what it tastes like. And then if I want to go and I add more, then I'm going to get right in there and add that, just to bring that, because cilantro has one of those properties where it adds a fresh quality to it, like almost like a fresh garden taste. So at this stage of the game, we're going to let this come up probably for about 5 minutes or so, and then when it's really coming together and the sausage is starting to cook, we're going to add our tomato product to it, and we'll get it rolling. We've got some beans to go in too. So we're going to let this go for just a few minutes more, and while we do that, let's talk about the music you're listening to. You're checking out our friends in Saline, and they have a brand new album coming out November 3rd of 2012, and it's called The Day You Came to Me. And the track you're checking out is called Black Heart, Black Lungs. For more information on these guys, check them out on their Facebook fan page right here. Okay, so now this is coming up to a nice simmer, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add a 28-ounce can of my favorite kind of tomato, and I'm going to ask the question, but then I'll tell you what it is. If anybody knows me, they'll know what it is. It's a canned tomato, and it's a region in Italy, and it's a San Marzano tomato. It's the best canned tomato money can buy, hands down. But I added one 28-ounce can to that. Now again, if you wanted to make it more, you could get 2 packages of sausage, 2 cans, and then the one of the last ingredients we have is the beans. Now I've got 2 12 to 15-ounce cans, the small cans of beans. Now you can cook your own beans ahead if you want, which I would probably recommend. But you know, with time restriction that I had today, I got black beans and pinto beans, and just give them a good rinse. You want to get that sodium off of there. Don't put the juice in there with them. But I've got a can of each in here, and I'm going to add them to that turkey chili. But pinto and black beans, it is much better when they're cooked fresh. But these are still going to be just delicious. So I'm going to add both cans right to that chili. And this is the part of the story where we're going to let it simmer. And as Bob's got a good shot of this right now, you can tell that it's not overloaded with liquid, so you don't have much room to reduce. So that's why you want to keep that chicken stock on hand to kind of add it and you know, keep bringing it back. I've got some edge on standby too, and what we're going to do is we're going to add that toward the end. And anybody that watches the show that knows, you always want to add the salt toward the end of something, because the more you cook, the more you reduce the liquid out, the saltier it's going to get. So you want to add it more toward the end. But right now it doesn't even need much. The flavor that's in there now is just amazing. So, and again, with that chicken stock too, some of the chicken stocks that you buy have sodium in it, so you want to be real careful, because you can ruin a dish. You can't take salt away. You can always add more, but you can't take it away once it's in there. Look at the colors coming through on that. Holy smokes. This is just absolutely incredible. Okay, so we're at the point now where we're going to let this cook for about 20 minutes. And then when it finishes simmering down, it gets a little bit thicker. Then we'll go ahead and stop plating up, and we'll take it to the next level. We'll talk about the wine. 20 minutes later, we're just about ready to dish it out. This is cooked down just nicely. Now what I did was, I'm looking at this here for thickness, and you know, you can let this continue to simmer and continue. We didn't add any more stock to it or anything. Everything is still pretty much al dente. The vegetables are soft enough. But what I did was I reserved about 2 tablespoons of flour, because I was going to make a slurry with the chicken stock if I needed to. I would almost say cornstarch, because that's what I usually make a slurry with. But I had the flour here just to help to thicken this if it needed it. But you know what? I really like the way this looks. I like the consistency of it. It's a little bit heart healthier, lower sodium. So really at this stage of the game, we're just going to give this a little kiss of the edge. And And I'm not gonna add much at all because I like the flavor balance that it's got right now. The profile is already coming through pretty solid. We're gonna add some more of that fresh chopped cilantro that we had in there. I'm gonna add, maybe another quarter cup or so. Let that come together because that's gonna add a level of brightness to it, almost a lemony brightness to the chili at the end, which really kind of sends it over the top. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and add our garnish to it. And I've got some fresh cilantro here. Add a couple of fresh cilantro leaves just to make it look real sexy for whoever you're trying to impress. Add a couple fresh sprigs of cilantro. I got a sliced radish here. We'll put a couple sliced radishes on there. And the last thing we're gonna add is a couple of dollops of sour cream right on the top. And that is how we do it. So for the wine, Bob chose a 2009 Zinfandel. It's the Lodi appellation, which is it's a California wine. And when we first sampled it, we poured it, we were like, wow, that's really light for a Zin. We were concerned that it wouldn't be enough to go with the chili, but it's got a real strong berry flavor, nice cherry flavor come through. So it's gonna be a nice balance with the bite and the heat coming from the chili. So it worked out pretty well. We were pretty impressed with like I said, at first look, it looks really thin, but it's delicious. That being said, we want to thank you for joining us in our magic, our madness, and our mayhem. We'll see you next time.